Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be adding some elements to this spinner right here. So as you could see, this is the basic layout of our application, and when we ran this application onto the emulator we could see that the spinner right here is going to be empty, and that is because we have not yet added any elements to it. So in order to add elements to the spinner, one thing which you could do is that you could go into the XML right here, and as you could see this is our spinner right here, so we could add up elements right over here. But when we are going to add the elements to the spinner in the XML file, it is going to give us an error. So in order to avoid that, what we are going to do is that we are going to go in this strings.xml file, and we are going to create the items which we want to add up in the spinner, and then we return back to the spinner right here and we reference these items which are stored in the string into the XML file and within the spinner. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, just follow along the tutorial and you'll get it. So the first thing which we'll need to do is that we'll need to add some items to the spinner. So instead of directly adding these items right over here in the XML file, we go into the strings.xml and we add up the spinner elements right over here. So the main thing about the spinner is that it is going to contain a lot of elements. So in order to have a lot of items in the spinner, we use a string array. So a string array is basically a collection of strings, or we could say that it is an array of strings in which we could store our items. So in order to create a string array, we type string array, and then we want to specify the name for our string array. So let's say we specify the name as workout underscore types. So this is our string array tags, and in between these tags we are going to specify the items which we are going to add. Now one more thing which you need to remember is that whenever we are going to create a string array, or whenever we are adding an ID to the widgets, you make sure that you note these IDs down somewhere, and that is because we are going to be needing these IDs, and it is crucially important that we use the same IDs which we have referenced here. Now as the names of these IDs are a bit similar, you might get confused, so in order to avoid confusion, you just note these IDs down somewhere else, so that whenever we need to use this ID, we could have a reference to it. So now let's get back to the string array. So this is our string array, and the string array is going to hold certain number of elements for us. So in order to add up items to the string array, we simply use the items tag. So we type item and slash item, and within these two we are going to specify the item which we need to add. Now in this case, inside the spinner we want to specify the body parts, as depending upon the body parts our application is going to suggest us some workouts. So let's add up the body parts. So let's say the first body part we want to add is chest, then we move on and we add the next body part. So let's say the next body part is the biceps, then we go ahead and add triceps, and now let's add one more part, so let that be shoulders. So as you could see, we have our body parts with us, and now the next thing which we need to do is that as we have created the string array, and as we want to add the string array to this spinner right over here, so in order to do that, we go down here in the spinner tag and we write a simple line to refer to this. So we type Android entries, and we specify the array name which we have used right now. So we type at array, and then the array name is this, which is going to be the workout underscore types. So we simply copy this name and then we paste it right over here. So this thing basically is going to have a reference to an array, and the array to which it is going to have reference is going to be the workout types. So it is going to look for reference in the strings.xml file, and when it finds the workout types, it is going to take all these items and it is going to add it to the spinner. So now in order to check if our items have been added to the spinner, we simply save the code and we execute our application on the emulator. So as you could see, our application is up and running on the emulator, and this time the spinner is going to have some elements. So by default it is going to select the first element, which is going to be the chest, and if we click this button right here, it is going to display a set of options for us to choose from. So if we select biceps and we hit this button, nothing happens, and that is because we have not yet specified the method which takes place when we click the button. So in the next tutorial we'll be dealing with this button right here. So we are going to add a method to this button so that when we select an appropriate option from this, it is going to perform some changes to this text right here. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.